Hi, everyone. We'll go ahead and get started. It is right at 6:30. So welcome everyone to the breakout session, the third breakout session of tonight. It is titled Telling Your Story, Career Myths Debunked. So thank you for joining. I want to start off by introducing myself. My name is Madeline Jones, and I serve as the Assistant Director of the Career Studio with the University Career Development Center here on campus. Tonight, I will be serving as the role of the facilitator for tonight's panel. And with that, I will hand it off to Samantha to introduce herself and tonight's panelists.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome. My name is Sammy Nelson. I'm a program coordinator for the Student Success Department within the Walton College of Business. I am happy to introduce our panelists for this evening. With us, we have Zoe Barton, who is the campus lead recruiter for Walmart, Lauren Baber at the Fayetteville attorney with Deacon Law Firm, and Jason Smedley, who is the Assistant Director of Public Affairs and Government Relations at the Arkansas Farm Bureau Federation. Before we jump in, I want to announce that we are giving away a door prize. This is a Walton gift bundle, including a shirt and thermos that was donated by Walton Career Services. I will announce the winner at the end, so stay tuned.
Thank you, Samantha. We're so excited tonight to have Zoe and Lauren and Jason as panelists for tonight's session. The purpose of tonight's conversation is to reinforce that career paths are not always linear. Many opportunities and experiences arise as we grow and learn more about our own interests and passions. And we want to encourage students to remain open-minded about their own career journey and not look at career prospects with a limited view. In many cases, an individual's soft skills may be more of a driving factor in their career path than their selected college major. So to start us off, I will ask each of the panelists to share a little bit about themselves and their educational journey and how you reached your current point in your career path. So Zoe, if you want to kick us off, we can start off with you.
Well, hey everybody, and thanks for spending your evening with us. I think this is a really exciting topic. I know that all of us on the call, but myself included, had definitely a unique educational background that kind of led us to the careers we're all in right now. So I work at Walmart in campus recruiting. What I do right now, and it's a very recent new job for me, about a month and a half old, is I lead our supply chain campus recruiting team. So all of the positions that we're recruiting college students into at the undergrad and graduate level into, again, the supply chain division across the nation I'm helping support. But going back a little bit of a ways to my educational background, I graduated from Hendrix College. I started out planning on being a biology major and then going to get a PhD in field research herpetology after, which is the study of amphibians and reptiles. I wanted to basically be like the next Steve Irwin. That was my lifelong goal. And I took a zoology class my sophomore year of college and thought it was absolutely fascinating, but I had no life. I just lived in the lab looking at slides all day long. And I took a test and I thought for sure I got an A, and I got like a 35% and was pretty horrified. Not that I had failed a test, because we've all been there in college, right? But because I thought I did so well and did not. So I kind of had to step back and say, what is it that I want to do with my life? What is it that I want to major in? Because I don't think I'm going to be happy doing this for the next several years. So what I did was I went to my career services department and took some of those, personality assessments to kind of figure out the career that would be right for me. And nothing really like jumped out to me as, ooh, that would be an amazing job. But I saw in there lots of just soft skills, people skills, languages, communication, that sort of thing. And I was really passionate about Spanish, and I liked art and wanted to take some more art classes. So I ended up graduating with a double major in Latin American literature and then studio art with an emphasis in printmaking. recruiting and knew that I didn't want to be an artist professionally, nor did I want to teach Spanish. So I ended up just having a lot of internships to make sure, just like Madeline said, those soft skills are really important. And I wanted to make sure that I had all of that applicable experience so that some job that I was interested in would present itself to me. And I applied for a job with Walmart. It happened to be in recruiting. I ended up getting the job, figuring that it was a step in the right direction, and loved it, and just have kind of been paving my way in recruiting ever since.
Thank you, Zoe. Jason, do you want to hop in, share your story?
Sure. So I'm originally from Little Rock, Arkansas, and I started school at University of Central Arkansas. But after a while, I actually dropped out of school and I joined the Marine Corps. But after doing an internship in DC, I realized that I loved it. I wanted to stay in DC. Um, I'm a big believer in following your passion. My passion is serving people. And part of that was through public policy, through public service. And so that's always been my background. And so I ended up getting back in school. I graduated from Howard University, ended up getting my MBA. And recently, about 3 years ago, I got my law degree. On the Marine side, I've been a public affairs officer. I've been to logistics school, infantry school. Marine Corps makes you go through a lot of schools. So we have a philosophy of being a lifelong learner. I've spent about 10 years between Capitol Hill and the Pentagon and Quantico. I've worked on the state level. I've worked for Governor Beebe, and I'm currently a lobbyist with Arkansas Farm Bureau Federation. And part of what I do is I push agricultural policy through the state legislature. So I work with the state senators and the state representatives, and I'm basically the mouthpiece for Arkansas farmers. But again, my background has always been of public service and interacting with, in particularly, Arkansans. And so that's always been my thing. I love our state, I love our people. And so any way I can serve Arkansans, that's always been my way of using my educational background. But I will say that when it comes to education, I've worked with a lot of college students. It's good that you explore the different opportunities that you have in school. But I'll also caveat that with, if you've always had a passion to do something, I don't want you to let one hard course change your whole interest. Now, there will be times when, yes, that may not be what you originally desired. You go in a different route. But I want you to be able to think about, what is it I really want to do? What is it I really want to accomplish? And even if you don't know what the answers to those are, you at least can have a direction of, well, what's your passion? What do you want to do? Like, for instance, like I said, mine is service to the people of Arkansas through public service. My mom, she has a very caring heart, so hers is being a nurse. So it came very natural to her. But I think the sooner you're able to connect your passion with your career, I believe the sooner you'll start to enjoy the fruits of your educational background.
Awesome. Thank you, Jason. Lauren?
All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Lauren Baber. I am a civil litigation attorney at Deacon Law Firm in Fayetteville. I just started my 10th year practicing law, but my road to get here was anything but straightforward. I'm originally from Texas, and I came up to the university for undergrad. And I started out as a poli-science major, kind of thinking that it was good basics, and then pretty quickly decided that wasn't really for me. So I thought, well, I like fitness. I'll do kinesiology. Then I could be a physical therapist, or do something kind of like fitness trainer, something like that. And then Chem 2 came around, and I didn't really like chemistry all that much. So I thought that maybe that's not for me. My junior year, I decided to go more with my interests and my passions, which is kind of clothing and fashion and product development, things like that. So I switched to apparel studies, ended up having to take something crazy like 21 hours my senior year to graduate on time, but I did. And then I got out and thought, what am I going to do with this now? That was really fun. I was really interested in what I was learning at school, but what do I do with this? And I didn't want to I was going to stay in Fayetteville. That was the main criteria driving a career decision at that point. And I didn't want to really open in retail. The opportunities that I had seen in product development weren't really for me, I didn't think. So I'm sure you've all heard of the movie Legally Blonde. I literally my senior year at the very end just said, I'm gonna try going to law school, see how it goes. Hadn't taken the LSAT, so I did that. I took a year in between college and law school and actually taught preschool at a local school here, which was really fun. It was a nice year off, and then got into law school, went to my 3 years, and right out of law school, I got the job that I currently have, and I've just been rocking and rolling at that for about, like I said, I'm in my 10th year now.
Thank you all so much. So I think the main point with this is knowing and realizing that the majors that we set out on, the panelists and myself included, is not the direct path that we are on now. Growing up, whenever I was in high school, I was from a very small community, and there was not a lot of variety in career options. And so what I saw from a career aspect in the females in my communities, they were either nurses or teachers. And so I went into college with a very, very narrow mindset of I was going to go and be a nurse, because that's what the females in my family did. And I thought that's what I had to do, and realized that that was not what I was passionate about. So going into the next question for the panelists, what, if any, factors influenced your decision to choose the specific major that you initially chose in college? Was it family influence? Was it geographic location, et cetera?
I can start, but I might jump to, instead of my major, jump to the actual law degree side. So when I was trying to figure out what I was going to do and what my career path would be, my dad and 3 of my uncles are all surgeons in Texas. And basically a lot of my friends' parents growing up all had either law degrees or their MD. So for some reason, I think it was kind of ingrained in me that I needed to get a higher degree. So I kind of went with the one that seemed like could be a good fit at the time. And luckily, very fortunately, it worked out. But I think it was originally that exposure to higher education, in advanced degrees, that got me thinking that was probably a path I wanted to go down.
I actually had a similar path. My dad was an attorney. My godfather was an attorney. My cousin was an attorney. So growing up, I always knew that I was going to be a part of law in some way. Even though my dad focused on criminal law, after getting with Arkansas Farm Bureau Federation, I kind of caught the bug, and I started having an interest in farming and agriculture. And so after learning a lot of the legal aspects of agriculture, I look at a lot more agricultural law. And so that's been my focus. But back to college, I was an English major, and I was a political science minor. English was because Howard didn't have a writing degree, so I had to go with an English major instead. But it goes back to what you're saying, that the major doesn't always match what your occupation is.
Yeah, and for me, I was really fortunate to have parents that really didn't care what I chose as my major. And I know that that's not always the case. I have plenty of friends in college that had lots of pressure. And one of my best friends, was kind of forced by her parents to pursue an accounting degree that she did not use post-college, and ended up going to years and years of flight school so that now she can be a pilot for a major airline. So I was in a really fortunate position where I did not have parents pushing me to do something I didn't want to do. They really knew that for me to be most successful and to get to the other end and get that degree, I just needed to find something that I was good at, that I enjoyed, because college it can be really draining. You got to take a lot of classes and learn a lot of material, and you've got all sorts of pressure on you when you reach that junior and senior year to get internships and figure out what you're going to do post college. So for me, Hendrix being a liberal arts college, they're really focused on teaching you to be a well-rounded individual. And so we were forced to not only take classes aligned to our major, but also to, arts and sciences, and, I could go on. For me, I've had several points in my life where I thought this was going to be the career that I wanted. Jason, you talked about passion being so important in a career. And for me, I've really followed my passions repeatedly. So much so that I've then realized that I would hate my passions if I followed them anymore professionally. So, went down the path of thinking I was going to go to Juilliard and pursue, my years of classical piano competition, and then thinking I was going to pursue my, love of snakes and amphibians and that sort of thing, and go be the next Steve Irwin. But ultimately, I just decided my goal was get a degree and figure it out from there. And so I just really took classes I was interested in and knew I had to have a major at the end. I really liked Spanish, and I knew that no matter what career path I went down, speaking another language fluently would be really helpful. And I liked art, so decided to take some more art classes and double major while I was at it.
So Zoe, you kind of ping-ponged into this next question, but can each of you describe an aha moment that you all had that caused you to pivot in your career path or your educational journey?
I can keep going with that one. I had many an aha moment, and I they weren't necessarily positive aha moments as much as they were, aha, I need to stop this before it gets, even uglier than it is now. And so, I think really my sophomore year, having that big fail. And, in high school, I was a straight A student, top of my class, graduated valedictorian, went on into college and kind of expected it to be smooth sailing. One of the reasons I decided to go to Hendrix was because there was a herpetologist in partnership with the chemistry department doing copperhead research. And I was like, perfect, I can go to the school I really like. It's, in state for me. And I can, work with these professors doing something I'm so interested in. And, that professor really cared when I filled that test and wanted to help me through it, and said he ran all the numbers and I could still get a, 97% in his class by the end of the semester. And that was really the aha moment. Even though it was possible for me to succeed, it would be very forced and it would be hard, and I would be making sacrifices. I would sacrifice, my personal life, my sleep schedule, relationships with, friends, family, etc. But in the end, what I really decided was I needed to stop that, and I needed to pick something else out so that I could make it to the end, make it to that degree, and then again, figure it out from there. And I got lucky with a job offer the night before I graduated college, and started a job that I happened to end up really liking from there.
I can go next. Okay. I think so. I started law school, got into law school, and after your first semester, firms in Arkansas will come to campus and conduct a series of interviews for the people who are in like the top 20%. And I went into law school kind of thinking, well, maybe I can work for a nonprofit or do adoptions, or like do something really good that makes me feel good about helping people. And I went to those interviews, and I got a clerkship at the Friday firm in Little Rock, and got there that summer. And as I was working, I was like, this is fun. Like, this civil litigation is actually really fun. So that was kind of an aha moment for me, like realizing that I actually was skilled at it, because that was a shock. And then also that I enjoyed it. And there are enough things to keep me interested, even in just kind of the day-to-day mundane stuff. So that was probably my biggest aha moment, was just kind of realizing I'm going to be exactly who I never thought I was going to be, basically.
I would say for me, when I did my first internship on Capitol Hill, and I was able to meet constituents from Arkansas and discuss a lot of the issues that were important to them, and how policy and how laws impacted people's everyday lives. I realized, like, wow, this is kind of big, and it's a lot of people that are unaware of everything that goes on behind the scenes when it comes to politics and public service. And so uh, I would say after that moment, I've always kept a keen eye on what policies are being pushed, what the needs are of Arkansans, and how those are being addressed, and to which areas are those issues being addressed to. So I would say that that internship and seeing the need of the people really did it for me. And another aha moment was after having my children, I realized that I have to start looking past just what I want, but also in regards to my children. And I want to make sure that I'm leaving something that they can continue on. For example, even though I may be in a suit and a button down right now, I also have a small farm, and I'm in overalls and t-shirts after work, and so I have a small Purple Hole pea farm, so that my son will have a trade as well when he graduates high school and goes to college. But I think it's important that you don't have to be one-dimensional, and that you can have several passions, and you can add all those pieces to your lives and to your professional career. And that's something that I want to do with myself, and that I want to make sure my children do, and I ask that you consider doing the same.
Jason, I really like that you said that we encourage students not to be one-dimensional and to have several passions. We want students to embrace all of the passions that you have. So how important is it to stay open-minded? And can each of you speak to opportunities that have been, that you have experienced or been presented to you when you least expected them?
I think that my first job with Walmart fresh out of college really was that opportunity that kind of popped up out of nowhere, and I didn't know if I was gonna like it. I kind of figured it wouldn't be, necessarily something I liked, but it was a job out of college, and that's what I needed. I've lived in Northwest Arkansas a good chunk of my life, from Southern California originally, and moved here when I was a kid for my dad's work. I think that there's something really, special about Northwest Arkansas. And growing up here or living here a good chunk of my life and seeing kind of the influence that Walmart has had on the community, and a lot of the things that I grew up being able to do here, it was because of Walmart or the Walton family. And so I always thought of Walmart as a place that, that would be a good place to work. I'm sure that, I would consider opportunities there. But I didn't really know, being such a large corporation, where a art major and Latin American literature major might find a home. But I knew I needed a job, and I was applying for jobs all over the country, and wasn't necessarily planning on staying in the state or limiting myself geographically. Really wanted to find something that I liked, and my goal was to find a company that I wanted to be with long term. I didn't really want to find a job and then have to immediately start looking for another job with another company. And so I applied for one job with Walmart, and I got a decline email, and that was a bummer because it was, the week I was graduating college and things were already stressful. And then I got a call from a Walmart recruiter who said, "Hey, Zoe, this is so-and-so. I'm a recruiter with Walmart. You applied to one of my jobs, and I declined you because you're not qualified." And I was like, thanks for the reminder. It's still pretty fresh. And they said, but actually I saved your resume. I have this other job I'd like you to apply for. Let me tell you a little bit about it. She told me about it. I went and applied, and she called me a few minutes later and set up a virtual interview. I had one virtual interview, and then they called and offered me the job. And it was just so fast. I had no idea really what I was going to be doing, but it sounded like something kind of related to legal and recruiting and, you know, hiring lawyers maybe for the company. I don't know. And I started and I just loved it. And that's exactly what I was doing. It was a coordinator position in recruiting. So it was really a good chance to learn what, you know, a career in recruiting could mean. What are all the steps that go into someone getting a job or getting an interview? And it was supporting legal compliance and ethics hiring at the, you know, director and above level for the corporation. So I got a crash course in something that I knew very little about. And pretty quickly, I would say like 2 months in, that mystery job that was merely the, you know, the job post-college turned into the dream career path. And pretty soon I was, you know, opening doors and figuring out all these different types of recruiting, campus recruiting, military recruitment, executive recruiting, you know, passive recruiting, and figuring out that I did really want to be there. And knowing that I got my job straight out of college, campus recruiting really appealed to me because I, you know, love helping college students find their place, much like I was so lost in college trying to figure out where I would land post. I'm, you know, definitely passionate about helping people figure that out for themselves too. So managed to find a job in campus recruiting supporting technology and have kind of just kept moving from there. But that first job was that kind of mystery leap. It was the job offer I had, you know, that was better than nothing. And it just really, really worked out for me and ended up being something that I loved.
What was the question again?
It's okay. How important is it to stay open-minded? And have you had any experiences or opportunities where you least expected them that kind of pushed you in the direction you went down or are in now?
Okay, gotcha. So how important is it to stay open-minded? Very important. I wouldn't be where I am today if I hadn't been very open-minded and kind of off the wall a little bit, I guess. And I think even once you get an initial career, once you get an initial job, it's important to continue developing skills and to continue doing things outside of your comfort zone and learning, like being a lifetime learner, like Jason was talking about earlier, because you really don't know when an opportunity is going to present itself. I've not switched my career since starting it, but there have been opportunities that have come up that have been surprising and would have been, you know, dream careers. They're still kind of on hold. None of them have panned out yet, but got discussions going on. And I think that there's interest there just because people see me trying to do a few different things and not just staying in my lane of civil litigation and practicing other areas, and really networking too, just knowing people and letting people know who you are and know that they can trust you, and things like that.
I'd say for me, I was working for the Marine Corps. I was the head of diversity for Marine Corps Recruiting Command, and I got to do a lot of traveling. Actually, it became overwhelming, the amount of traveling. At first, it was fun visiting all the colleges, and I was like, okay, I'm too old for this. And I was venting to a friend on the phone coming back from a flight, and someone overheard my conversation about me wanting to get out of that position, and he gave me his card. We went and had lunch, and he said there was this opportunity that I could apply for where I could basically I'd be the director of congressional testimony for the Commandant of the Marine Corps, which for me was a dream job. And when I went and interviewed for it, I had seen that there were already 10 other people that had interviewed for the job, which intimidated me a lot. And I ended up, I made the final cut, and I received an offer that I could have never imagined in my life. But I held off on saying, yes, I accept, even though it was my dream job. I talked to a couple of mentors, and they told me that, you know, hey, if you take this dream job, it's likely that you're going to stay in DC for the rest of your life. And I really took that to heart. and I prayed about it, and I realized that even though that was a dream job, that was great, it wasn't right for me. I knew that my heart was in Arkansas. I wanted to come back. And I ended up taking a job with Governor Beebe. Even though it was a lower paying job, I was happy to be back home. And I was happy to interact with Arkansans. And I knew that I had exhausted my time in the DC area. And so it was the right decision. So I also caveat with, hey, you may be offered a dream job, but it may not be right for you. And your mental health is more important at times than your professional career. And so you want to make sure that you have something that also is beneficial to your mental health and for your family. But there are all sorts of aspects to consider besides just the job title and the amount of money. And I'm grateful that I made the decision. I think it's the right decision. And the last piece is it was my wife that mentioned this job with Arkansas Farm Bureau Federation. And I was like, I know nothing about Farm Bureau. Like, I don't want to work for insurance. I do public policy. I work in public service. Like, no, this is not what I want. But after learning more about the opportunity and being open-minded about it, I realized that it was a great opportunity, and it also opened my mind to the world of agriculture. Unfortunately, I didn't realize just how big the impact of agriculture is in Arkansas. And growing up in Little Rock, I didn't have a lot of connections with farmers and with agriculture. But now traveling the state and having that interaction with farmers and being able to go to the state capitol and push a lot of the policies that they voice issues with, now it has developed into a new interest and a new passion. So that's my be open-minded stories.
Okay, thank you. So we have one last little discussion question, and then we'll open it up for students if you have any questions in the chat. I see we do have a couple of questions already. But the last just question that I have is, what advice, if any, do you have for lost students who aren't sure that they've selected the right major, the correct major, and they don't know where to start in their job search process?
I think, for me, when I was feeling lost, yeah, I talked to parents and professors and mentors, but what I found was that professors really wanted to steer me towards their discipline. Oh, you should consider a major over in my department. You're so good in my class, whatever. But I went to career services and ended up having kind of this or unbiased perspective of this person who was there. Their job was to help me find my career path, and lots of just opportunities that I had to take some of those assessments, like I mentioned, and kind of acknowledge what my strongest skills were and consider careers that would really embrace those skills. So I would say, if you don't know if you're picking the right major, if you don't know if you're on the right path, just remember that if you want to get to the end of that degree, any major is going to help you get there. Go to career services and get them to help think about career options that might be available to you. But remind yourselves that, a lot of employers are going to think about major before they think about anything else. And that frustrates me, honestly, a lot of times when you've got someone who says, no, I only am interested in someone with this exact major, when the best candidates, like so many of us on the call, may have very, very different backgrounds than other candidates you might think about. So know that major is not everything. Yeah, it's definitely a big chunk of it. And if you hate chemistry, maybe chemistry shouldn't be your major. But as long as you're doing something where you're learning skills that are going to help you and skills that are, interesting to you, I think that you're on the right path.
I would say get as much experience as you can. During the summer, during breaks, while you're in school, find an internship that you think you might be interested in, try that, build experience, get some experiences to be able to put on your resume and describe what you learned in those and what your skills that you've been developing or you developed were in those, and just keep trying that until you find something that fits. Because education is a lot, but I also at least coming out of like a higher, like a master levels program, you need to also have experience. I remember in law school, because I'd worked for a year teaching preschool. I'd also been an intern at a British luxury brand in London, and had like a couple of other things on my resume that I guess most law students didn't, who had come right from college, went into law school, hadn't really ever worked. I actually had some work experience. And I remember the firm manager at one of these parties that we went to during law school, kind of a recruitment party, said, like, you actually have experience. Like, you actually have real world experience. That's really notable. So I would say try to get some experience, maybe try and dabble in getting experience in some of the places that you're interested in.
I would also add, you want to make sure you take your general courses first. Even if you don't have a major yet, take all the courses that are required for graduation, regardless of your major. Take those first. Because remember, the goal of going to college is to get your college degree. So you want to make sure you get your general courses first. If you switch majors, I would say, make sure that it makes sense to switch. And what I mean by that is, look at the financial piece of it. How many more classes? Is this going to extend your time at the school? Is your scholarship or your grant or your loan or your job going to be able to fund that additional the additional classes, the adjustment, that sort of piece? But after a while, and I'm so sorry, I have children, so I'm trying not to sound like a dad, but you're gonna have to make a choice. You're gonna have to make a decision. And I promise you, it is more likely that you're not gonna make a wrong decision. And if you do, guess what? You can pick yourself up and you can adjust. But it's definitely important that you make a decision and that you finish what you started. You started school to graduate. And so at some point, after you finish your general courses, if you've chosen a major and decide to switch, just make sure that it doesn't extend you to a point where your job in college becomes the priority over going to class. Because the goal of you going to school is to get a college degree, not to do that college job. So just keep those things in mind.
Perfect. Thank you all so much. We do have a couple of questions in the chat. So the first question would be, how difficult would you all say that it is to find a job that you are truly passionate about?
For me, I didn't set out looking for that first job out of college to be that thing that I was ultimately so passionate about. Truth of the matter is that, we all need money to survive, and many people end up needing to work in college just to get through that. So post college, yeah, absolutely, to have a place to live and food to eat and pay your bills, you got to have a job. So I set my expectations pretty low, and I think that's why I was able to really see the first job I had out of college for what it was. If I had expected to find that ultimate job that I was so passionate about first thing, I would have been really let down. And instead, because I just wanted a job, I just wanted experience, I wanted someone to give me that, yes, we want to make you an offer, I was able to go into it with much more of an open mind. So first thing I would say is try to have an open mind. Don't expect that first job out of college, or maybe even that second or third job, to be the thing that you're super passionate about. But how hard it is to find a job that you're truly passionate about, I think depends on what your passion is. If it's, a passionate about helping people, right? That's going to open your horizons a little bit more. But if it's a very niche passion that you want to pursue something so specific, then perhaps that's going to be a little bit more challenging. But to all college students listening right now, I would say the biggest thing is just remind yourselves that first job out of school probably isn't going to be the end game. You're going to find a job that you're passionate about. But if you don't find that job that you're passionate about right out of school, you can find other things you're passionate about that'll help you get that job. So, volunteer in your communities. There's ways that you can be involved in local government, like serving on city council, that sort of thing. So whatever your passion is, just know that you can still do that on the side, even if that job isn't your number one passion in life.
All right, I'll cut in, Lauren. I'd agree. I agree with everything. I would add that, you know, it can be challenging, but if we're talking passion. And so it's something that you're going to be drawn to regardless of if it's hard or if it's easy. I'd say for me, when I had my first internship on Capitol Hill, I knew that's where I wanted to work. And what I did is while I was finishing up school at Howard, I had another internship on Capitol Hill. I was waiting tables at the mall across from the Pentagon. I was a waiter until that internship finally turned into a job. And sometimes you're going to have to humble yourself. If that's truly your passion and that's something you want to go into, and that's something that I had to do. And while my friends in Little Rock thought I was in Washington D.C. doing all these great things, no, I was waiting tables and then changing over so I go to class and I could work on the Hill as an intern. But if it's truly your passion, you're going to make a hard situation easier with every step of the way.
Perfect. Thank you, Jason. I just got our 5-minute warning. So I'm going to go into asking the last question that we have. I think it's a really great question. So we had a student say, what should my first step be if I'm a graduating senior in information systems and I want to pursue a PhD or a career in something totally different, like screenwriting? Should I go into my field first and see how it goes, or go for it? So I'm assuming that is go for your passion, what you really want to do.
I think unfortunately, that kind of situation, sometimes your personal situation plays into your ability to just go for it, right? If you're going to be pursuing a PhD, if you have, financial assistance, maybe scholarships that are going to help you do that cost, maybe you have the luxury to go and try that out for a few years and you've still got that degree and that background in, information systems or whatever it might be that you can go back to when you finish.
I think Zoe might have frozen.
Okay, I didn't know if that was me or not. I was like, oh no. Oh no.
So I can
Go ahead, Lauren.
I can jump in. I agree with Zoe in that it's very difficult to assess it, because I have a lot of questions that I'd like to ask you to, I feel like, to be able to give you sound advice. But like she was saying, I think that it is really important to assess your personal situation. If it's something you can do, then, I mean, my vote would be go for your passion, go for what you think you want to do. But, you do have to look at the responsibility aspect of it. Are you able to do that? And look into, how to make that possible. But if you're going to continue your education, I would say that right out of school is the time, that right out of college is the time to do that, because otherwise you kind of start on a career path, and even though you can pivot, you absolutely can pivot. I think it becomes more difficult as you get older to go back to school. I don't think at this point I'd be able to go back to school, honestly. So I think while you're young and while you're just out of school, if you have that luxury, then go for it.
Thank you. Jason, did you have anything to add to that before we close? Should they go into their field first, or just see how it goes?
I definitely agree that, if you can do it right out of college, if you can go to school right out of college, I know that's the last thing you want to do, but that is, for me, the best time you can do it. I always say the time to take risk is when you don't have a spouse, a house, or children. One of those three things, or all of those three things, or two of those three things. If you don't have those three things, that is the time to take a risk. That is the time to invest in yourself, in your education, to move to a new area. But that's the time to take a risk, because as you get older, it becomes more of a challenge once you get one, two, or three of those things, because you have to consider all the other aspects that come with school. And some schools may not have an opportunity for you. If you have a full-time job, do they have a nighttime part-time program, or things like that? That's one of the reasons I was able to graduate law school, is because Bowen Law School has a nighttime program. If they did not, I would not be able to get my law degree in Arkansas at all. And so you have to look at things like that. And so I always recommend for students, do it right after college. If you're going to pursue an education, a PhD or a master's or JD or anything, or MD, you want to do it right after college if that's an option for you.
Perfect. Thank you all so much. We're coming up right at 7:15 at the end of our session. There was one last question specifically for Zoe. So Christopher, if you're still on the call, I'll make sure to get you connected with Zoe to answer your specific question for her. So Zoe, Lauren, Jason, thank you all so much for the input that you have shared with us. I think we have all learned something very valuable and insight from all of your experiences. And so we will end there. Samantha, if you want to announce the
Yes.
the winner.
Yes, so the door prize winner is Melanie Wilkes. If you could just privately chat me your email, I'll get you connected, and someone will reach out to you tomorrow with further details on how you'll receive that.
So I think that will wrap up tonight. This breakout session, and so we appreciate all of you for joining us, and we hope you have a good rest of the evening.
Yes, thank you.
Everybody.
Hi, Zoe.
It's bound to happen at some point, right?
Yes.
See you guys later. Bye.
Bye.
Thank y'all for including me.
Thank you, Jason.
All right. Bye.
Samantha, did you see Melanie?
Yes.
Okay.
I guess she can. That's perfect. Okay. Perfect.
Awesome. I don't want to lose that chat.